Good morning, students. Today I'll be discussing about the potentiometer titrations with respect to precipitation titrations and complexometry titrations. In the last session, that is session number 7, I discussed about the acid base and redox titrations under potentiometric methods. So, under the applications of EMF measurements, we studied in the last two sessions measurement of pH by measuring EMF, and I also explained or I discussed about another application, that is potentiometer titration. Under potentiometer titrations, in the last session I discussed acid base and redox titrations, and this is the last session of mine on electrochemistry. So with today's session, the discussion as per my students' syllabus comes to end with respect to electrochemistry, right? So as we know that during potentiometer titrations, EMF of the solution is measured for different volumes of titrant added, and the equivalence point is determined from the graph of volume of titrant versus EMF. Same principle holds good for these precipitation as well as complexometry titrations. So let us discuss the precipitation titration by taking the example of determination of amount of silver ions present in the given solution of silver nitrate by titrating against standard KCl solution, right? So when we want to carry out precipitation titration of silver nitrate against KCl. So when we consider the titration of silver nitrate against KCl, the reaction is that silver nitrate, being a strong electrolyte, it dissociates completely and reacts with potassium chloride, forming silver chloride precipitate. So this is the reaction that takes place between silver nitrate and KCl. So when we add KCl solution of the burette to silver nitrate solution, silver ions are removed as insoluble silver chloride precipitate. So as we add more and more of potassium chloride solution from the burette to silver nitrate, more and more of silver ions are precipitated as silver chloride. So there is a decrease in silver ion concentration during the titration. Therefore, the potentiometric titration of a silver nitrate against KCl can be carried out by taking silver electrode coupled with the calomel electrode, because electrode potential of silver electrode depends upon silver ion concentration. Therefore, silver electrode can be used as an indicator electrode along with the reference electrode, that is a calomel. So the principle underlying the precipitation titration of silver nitrate against KCl is that EMF of the solution or EMF of the cell made up of silver electrode and calomel electrode goes on decreasing with the gradual addition of potassium chloride to silver nitrate solution. That's the principle, because silver ion concentration decreases, so electrode potential of silver electrode decreases, therefore EMF decreases. That's the principle. So now let us see. So in order to determine amount of silver ions or amount of silver nitrate present in the given solution by employing potentiometer titration method, so we can determine amount of silver nitrate present in the given solution silver nitrate by titrating against a standard potassium chloride solution. So what is the procedure involved? Take about say 20 ml of silver nitrate solution in the beaker, whose concentration is to be determined, and fill the burette with the KCl solution place silver electrode and a calomel electrode and connect them to a potentiometer. So silver nitrate is taken in the beaker, silver electrode and calomel electrode are dipped into the solution and they are connected to potentiometer. And by adding 0.1 ml of standard KCl solution from the burette each time, EMF of the solution can be determined. Okay. Then from the graph of EMF versus volume of KCl added, we can determine amount of silver nitrate or amount of silver ions present. Okay. So now let us see. So when silver electrode is coupled with calomel electrode, E naught of a silver electrode, standard electrode potential is 0.80 volts and that of a saturated calomel electrode potential is 0.2422 volts. So when we couple silver electrode with the calomel electrode, silver electrode acts as cathode because reduction potential is more than the reduction potential of calomel, and this acts as anode. Therefore, the cell formed by calomel and quinhydron electrode can be represented as platinum mercury chloride KCl saturated So this is the cell used for the titration of silver nitrate against KCl. So here, when you look at the cell representation, silver electrode acts as cathode, calomel electrode acts as anode. And electrode potential of silver electrode silver electrode is given by the expression E naught of silver plus 0.0591 by 1 log of Ag plus. This is the Nernst equation for electrode potential of silver electrode, because at silver electrode the reaction that occurs is this. Okay, therefore when you look at the electrode potential silver electrode depends upon silver ion concentration, and E naught of silver is 0.80 volts. And for this cell, EMF is equal to E silver, that is cathode, minus E calomel, because silver electrode is acting as cathode. Therefore, now this is equal to 0.80 plus 0.0591 log Ag plus minus 0.2422 volts. Right. So this is the expression for EMF of the cell consisting of silver electrode and calomel electrode, which is used in the titration of silver nitrate against KCl. So when we look at the expression for EMF of the cell, so EMF of the cell varies with the silver ion concentration. Therefore, when you titrate silver nitrate solution against standard KCl solution, with the addition of aliquots of KCl, silver ion concentration goes on decreasing, therefore EMF decreases. And at the equivalence point, there is a sudden decrease in EMF. After sudden decrease, you take 3 to 4 readings of EMF and stop the titration, plot the graph of volume of KCl versus EMF and calculate what volume of standard KCl solution is consumed by known volume of silver nitrate. Right. So when you look at this expression for EMF of the cell, it is clear that when we add gradually more and more amounts of KCl, that is, if you add 0.1 ml each of KCl, silver ion concentration goes on decreasing and EMF decreases. So by plotting the graph of volume of KCl versus EMF, we can determine the volume of KCl consumed. So, right. So since if you look at the graph of volume of KCl versus EMF, so we find gradual decrease in the EMF and sudden decrease at the equivalence point, and EMF remains almost constant after the equivalence point. Then locate the linear portion or steeply decreasing curve portion of the graph, locate the center point, and then volume corresponding to the center point or midpoint of steeply rising curve is the volume of KCl consumed. Or as I have discussed, we can also draw first derivative graph, that is volume versus delta E over delta V, where you get a graph of this fashion and volume corresponding to the peak is the volume of KCl consumed. So using the graph of volume versus KCl, we can use this volume into normality of KCl is equal to volume into normality of silver nitrate. Using this equation N1V1 is equal to N2V2, we can calculate concentration of silver ions or concentration of silver nitrate in the solution. So this is the principle underlying potentiality titration pertaining to a precipitation reaction. So we have considered the example of the precipitation reaction of silver nitrate and KCl, right? Then the last titration is complexometric titration. Complexometric titration. Here we consider the example mentioned in the syllabus is zinc sulfate versus potassium ferrocyanide. This is an example of a complexometric titration. So what is this? So zinc ions in the presence of an acid medium react with ferrocyanide ions, forming an insoluble complex of this type. So we have potassium ions here, I can write it as K4, and zinc ions can be taken in the form of zinc sulfate. So zinc sulfate reacts with potassium ferrocyanide, forming this reaction. So this is the reaction taking place, zinc ions and potassium ferrocyanide ions. So this is a precipitate, gray-white precipitate. So if you take ferrocyanide ions in the beaker and zinc sulfate solution in the burette and add zinc sulfate to ferrocyanide ion solution, so ferrocyanide ions are precipitated as this complex and concentration of ferrocyanide ion goes on decreasing. Therefore, with the change in concentration of ferrocyanide ion, there should be change in EMF, because we want to determine change in EMF for different volumes of standard zinc sulfate added. Therefore, with the change in concentration of ferrocyanide ion, there should be change in EMF or electrode potential of indicator electrode. Because calomel electrode is a reference electrode whose potential does not change. So indicator electrode should be so chosen that with the change in concentration of ferrocyanide ions, there should be change in EMF of the cell. So in order to achieve this cell with calomel electrode, which indicator electrode should be taken? So we take a redox electrode. We have learned already that a redox electrode is the one where a platinum wire is dipped in a solution containing same ion in two different states, like a platinum rod dipped into Fe2 Fe3 ion solution, that has a redox electrode. Here also, if we dip platinum wire into a solution containing ferrocyanide and ferricyanide ions, then this acts as a redox electrode. So if you have ferrocyanide and ferricyanide ions in the solution, by placing a platinum electrode into ferrocyanide and ferricyanide ion solution, that electrode acts as a redox electrode. Okay, right. And in order to have ferricyanide ion concentration, what we do is we take in the beaker about say 20 ml of potassium ferrocyanide, whose concentration is to be determined. We take 20 ml of potassium ferrocyanide in the beaker, and to that we add few drops of ferricyanide, K3FeCN6. We add few drops of potassium ferricyanide. So now in this solution you have ferrocyanide and ferricyanide ions, where iron is in two different oxidation states, Fe2, and in ferrocyanide iron is in +2 state, in ferricyanide iron is in +3 state. So therefore, when platinum rod or wire is dipped into this solution, this acts as a redox electrode. Okay, so and when this redox electrode is coupled with the calomel, calomel electrode acts as anode and this acts as cathode. Now let us see. So what is that cell system we are using? Okay, we are using calomel electrode plus redox electrode. And here redox electrode acts as cathode and calomel electrode acts as anode. So E cell will be equal to E naught of Fe3 bar Fe2 plus, because iron is in +3 as well as +2 states, plus 0.0591, because what is the reaction here? Fe3 plus 2 electrons giving rise to Fe2 plus. This is the reaction that is taking place because iron is in two different states. In ferrocyanide iron is in +2 state, in ferricyanide iron is in +3 state. Therefore we can write this as log, this is a ferricyanide, sorry, put this divided by ferrocyanide ion minus E calomel. So this is the expression for EMF of this cell, made up of what? A redox electrode and a calomel electrode. So when you look at this expression, we have added a few drops of ferricyanide ion to 20 ml of ferrocyanide ion, whose concentration is to be determined. So we have a ferro system here, and when we add zinc sulfate to mixture of ferrocyanide and ferricyanide solution, ferrocyanide ions are precipitated as insoluble precipitate complex. So ferrocyanide ion concentration goes on decreasing. So as the ferrocyanide concentration goes on decreasing with the addition of zinc sulfate from the burette, what happens? Since this is decreasing with the addition of zinc sulfate, so what happens? This ratio increases. So EMF of the cell goes on increasing. So as long as ferrocyanide is present in the solution, addition of zinc sulfate from the burette results in the gradual increase of EMF. So how long does the EMF increase? Till ferrocyanide ions are present in the solution, the addition of zinc sulfate results in the gradual increase of EMF. Then at the equivalence point, there will be sudden increase in EMF because all your ferrocyanide ions are removed as zinc sulfate, and there will be sudden increase in EMF at the equivalence point or around the equivalence point. After you find sudden increase in EMF, take 3 to 4 EMF readings and stop the titration and plot a graph of volume of zinc sulfate versus EMF. So what is the nature of the graph that we obtain? We learn from this expression that EMF gradually increases. Therefore, when we plot the graph of volume of zinc sulfate versus EMF, we obtain a graph of this fashion. So identify steeply rising curve or identify the linear portion of the curve. Then locate the midpoint of this linear portion of the curve. Volume corresponding to this midpoint is the volume of zinc sulfate consumed by your 20 ml of ferrocyanide solution taken in the beaker. And the correct value of volume of zinc sulfate can be obtained from the first derivative graph, that is volume versus delta E over delta V. And for this first derivative graph, we get a graph of this fashion, and volume corresponding to the peak will give you the volume of zinc sulfate consumed by 20 ml of potassium ferrocyanide. So this is how we can conveniently carry out complex titration of zinc sulfate, of potassium ferrocyanide against zinc sulfate by potentiometric method. So in any potentiometric titration method, care is to be taken to select a suitable indicator electrode, because reference electrode is a calomel electrode, its potential does not change during the titration. Any reference electrode for that matter will not change its potential. Its potential remains constant. That's why it's called as reference electrode. And indicator electrode plays an important role in any potentiometric titration method. So a suitable indicator electrode should be taken depending upon the type of reaction we are dealing with. As you have seen, in acid-base titrations, H plus ion concentration changes, so we have to select an indicator electrode whose potential depends upon H plus ion concentration. Then number 2, redox titration. We took the example of ferrous ammonium sulfate versus dichromate. Their iron to ion concentration is changing, so indicator electrode that we took is a redox electrode. Thus platinum wire dipped into a solution of Fe2 and Fe3 ions. And in precipitation titration, we took the example of silver nitrate versus KCl titration. So silver ions are removed as insoluble silver chloride. So we took silver electrode as an indicator electrode. And in the case of zinc sulfate and potassium ferrocyanide titration, potassium ferrocyanide is in the beaker and the zinc sulfate in the burette, that's titrant. So ferrocyanide mixture, platinum wire dipped into that mixture behaves as an indicator electrode, that's a redox electrode. So this is how, by choosing a suitable indicator electrode, it is possible to carry out conveniently potentiometric titration. So with this, we come to the end of discussion on electrochemistry. Thank you.